Okay, so we're gonna go. Over loops such as the while loop. So this is gonna be a quick introduction. So this is how a loop works. So we'll have a code before the loop, and then when we enter the loop, there's gonna be a loop condition. If this loop condition, if it's true, then we're gonna execute a block of code inside the loop. After that, we go to the beginning over here, and then we check if the loop condition is still true. If it is, then we do the same thing again. But once we find out this loop condition has turned false, we exit the loop. Okay? So the first loop we're going to go over is the while loop. So how the while loop looks like is there'll be a condition at the start. Let's have a Boolean value. Okay? And it's going to check if this condition is true. Hold on, let me say, okay. Then inside there'll be a block of code. And after it's done executing, it's going to check if this condition is still true. Inside this block of code, we can write a line of code where we set our condition to be false. And once this turns false, it'll stop executing the code here. Okay, so right now it's true. It executes this, condition turns false. This is not false, but it's not going to execute it. We're going to go over here now. So let's go over a quick example of how to work with this. All right. Okay, so we're gonna write a code that asks a user to input in two numbers. So sorry, we're gonna randomly generate two numbers, and then we have to find out what they're equal to. And if the user gives us a wrong value, we're gonna ask to try again and keep trying again until they give us the right number. So let's start by writing an int num1 is equal to mat.random times 10. Okay. Oh, sorry, not random. Okay. And now we're gonna turn this into integer because right now it's a double. All right. So this rounds these values up. And then we're gonna do this again and call this num2. Now we're gonna set up our scanner. And system.in. Okay, now we're going to set up our first print statement. So we're going to ask, so we're going to do num1 plus num2. Oh yeah, I forgot the plus here. Num2 plus equals what? And actually, let me do a print statement instead. All right. Now we're going to collect our value. So our answer will be equal to scanner dot next int. All right. Now we're going to enter a while loop. If num1 plus num2 does not equal our answer, then we're going to ask the user to try again. So we're going to do this. So collect user input again, and we're going to quickly write a print statement. That is wrong. Try again. Okay, but if this is false, if num1 plus num2 equals answer, then this is going to be false. It's going to skip this line of code, and we're going to print out that is correct. All right, and then close the scanner at the end. Scanner.close. There we go. All right, now let's try this. All right, 2 plus 4, that's 6, right? That is correct. All right. Now let's try again. Three plus 9, that's 0, right? That is wrong. Try again. Let's do 5. That is wrong. Try again. How about 12? That is correct. See? We can also, let's actually have the print statement display again. Okay? So let's do that. So if you do 0, try again. Okay? Try again. And yeah, so on and so forth. All right? So pretty much what it's doing is randomly generating two numbers. Then we print it out. We collect user input. This line checks if this is true. So if they're not equal to each other, then this statement is true. And then we're going to try and collect user input again. We're going to print this out and then try and collect user input again, and then check if it's true still. If it's still true, if the numbers don't equal to each other, then do it again. And when the numbers do equal to each other, then this is false, and then we execute this code.